How much do you know about Mississippi? Would you believe that it is a place where cryptids thrive? Let's set aside all preconceived notions and search the woods of Mississippi together. Welcome back to episode 4 of Mississippi Monsters. I'd like to appreciate y'all listening to all the videos thus far and helping me get some views and subscribers. But today we're going to be covering a little bit something different. That's going to be Bigfoot in Mississippi. Now, first we have to do a little bit of house cleaning, or housekeeping rather. I'm urging everyone to please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to this channel. I'm really trying to do a lot with this, but I've got to be able to have a reason to do a lot with it other than just my passion. I'm trying to do my best to get 100 subscribers by September, and Lord willing, 1,000 a year from today. So I'm trying to build this channel up. I'm trying to bolster the numbers, and I need your help significantly. I'm not going to try to do any Patreon anytime soon or any merch right now until I'm able to justify the time I put into it. But today, I would like for y'all to know that I'm going to try my best to do some weekly podcasts and try to actually drop a few videos bi-weekly. So today I'm actually working on 3 videos at one time, and I'll be working on some other videos on my other channels. So just please thank y'all for listening, and thank y'all for the patience y'all have had, because I know it's been like 2 weeks since I dropped the last video. But anyway, back to the subject we're going to be talking about: Bigfoot in Mississippi. Now, this is going to be a cryptid that's very polarizing. A lot of people around here just they know things are out there. They know things lurk in the woods. I mean, I always grew up understanding that you just do not go into the woods at night. I mean, that's just one thing that was a given. I still know a lot of people that do not believe in anything supernatural or anything cryptid related, and they refuse to go into the woods because they are petrified of what lurks there. So, yes, we have a lot of different predators. We have a lot of coyotes, bobcats. I have panthers that have come and gone, but that's going to be covered on another podcast. We also have some huge hogs in certain areas here in Mississippi. But what really takes the cake whenever it comes to being in the woods at nighttime is people are just flat out scared of what they don't see, and the noises that they hear in their backyard that they cannot relate to any other different type of animal that they know exists. So this Bigfoot creature, it's an enigma around here. A lot of people they believe in something quite like it, but they would not. They wouldn't confess to it. Just put it that way. So anyway, this is the creature that honestly spurred my interest in all things cryptid. And I kind of shared my experiences with this creature on episode 1, The Why. Kind of giving everyone an understanding of why I actually started into this field. Why I have such an enthusiastic passion about trying to figure out what's going on beyond just what people say about it on the internet. I don't have much of a chance to do my own research or do certain things. I do go camping in the woods from time to time, but I don't actively pursue these things because of what I feel some of them actually are, and we will talk about that later on, probably in a separate podcast again. But this Bigfoot creature, if you look it up on different types of archives and newspapers, any type of news clippings, you won't exactly always hear the term Bigfoot. Now, as I covered in the what, which I think is in episode 3, this creature has many different names: wild man, booger, wood booger, swamp monkey, mud man. It all depends on what area in Mississippi you are and what people you talk to, what the name is actually given. Now, this creature is actually reported as being the first European sighting in America, and that's going to be talking about in in Natchez, Mississippi. There was a Jesuit priest in 1721 that was actually spending time with the Natchez tribe, and they heard a lot of hollers, a lot of shoutings, and a lot of different things not associated with any known animal for this Jesuit priest. And so the priest asked exactly what was going on, and this Natchez tribe actually explained to him that this was the wild man of the forest. I mean, this Native American group, they knew what this creature was. And as this Jesuit priest, he wrote down in his journal, and he sent it back to his fellow Europeans. I mean, this was the first documented recording by any type of European that we know of that talks about these creatures existing here, and this was right along the Mississippi River, here in Mississippi. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of arguments saying that the Vikings actually came across these creatures in Newfoundland, but as we look to what can actually be proven, this is the first documented European sighting of a European encounter that we have here in America, which is just phenomenal. Mississippi still does not get the credit it deserves in order to have to say that Bigfoot is a major part of our state, but it is. It really is. But I'm gonna be honest with you. After I did a little bit of research and found this out, it kind of triggered one of the very first memories I had of this creature, actually hearing about it. Now, whenever I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, I mean, you honestly didn't hear about it. From time to time, you would see something on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel, just mention it by name, talking about the Pacific Northwest, and it just barely covered over some fascinations that people had, and reported sightings way over there. But when it came to Mississippi, you just didn't hear about it in the news. So that's whenever I really had a realization that these creatures can actually be over here. Is in the 1990s, it actually came across on the 6 o'clock news. Now, I remember this like it was yesterday, but for the life of me, I've looked on all the different types of news archives, and I could not find anything associated with it back in the 1990s. But I remember this like it was yesterday, and this was the first time I heard of Bigfoot in Mississippi whenever I was a kid. The story basically goes like this. A hunter was with his son, and they was doing some deer hunting. Just going out to their regular property, just trying to figure out exactly what they can do. And they had a poor hunting experience. They didn't see anything, which, as the best I can recall about this news reporting, it was very unusual that they didn't see anything in this field, because they've always saw something. They was able to be very selective in what they took down because of the population of the deer. But during that hunt, they didn't see anything. And for some reason, it was just crazy that nothing came out. And so the father and son, they was really kind of upset about it, and they had decided they was going to go on back to the truck, because they done took pretty much the better part of a day and still didn't see anything. So they was walking back out to the truck. I forgot how the distance it was from where they was hunting at. But anyway, when they was walking back to the truck, they heard something running from the other side of the truck and slam against the truck that they was walking to. And they said this creature rose up and just started hollering and shouting and shaking the truck at them. They was utterly petrified. As you can imagine, it could be. I believe the best way, or the best height that I could remember, was it was over 7 foot tall. But one thing that I will never forget how they described this creature is that he had like moons for eyes. And that's what the guy kept on stating, is that these eyes in this creature was so huge that it was just like this creature just had moons in his eye sockets. And so the father and son was able to get away. I can't remember exactly how, especially since the creature was on the other side of the truck, but they was able to get away and drive like mad out of that property. But later they was on the newscasting, and they was able to describe what happened. The news covered the damage that happened to the truck, and the father was able to give the encounter of what happened to him with the son right beside him, just shaking his head, saying, "Yes, yes, I agree." And my best recollection was the son was a teenager, and so he was able to describe everything the father was given. And this was very fascinating to me because for the first time in my life, hearing that all these creatures were just, scattered around the world, that there was a possibility of something like this being in Mississippi. And it was crazy. But as I've gotten older and I've had my own sightings, I've actually been able to talk to other people about this, and they concur with me. I mean, there's something in these woods around here. Now, I live very close to Bienville National Forest, and it has its own sightings. There's many people that are not willing to talk about it, or not willing to talk to these Bigfoot researchers spread across the nation. That they are willing to talk to people like me that just live up the road, that they have known all their life and have shared stories with. And I'm going to try to get some more details in these other stories. But Bigfoot in Mississippi is a real thing. Just here in Bienville, there's actually groups that come out here yearly, well, before COVID, and they would camp in Marathon Lake in order to do some expeditions, retell some stories about what have happened to them, and be able to try to explore a little bit more in those woods. Now, tree structures have been found. I believe footprints have been found as well, if my memory serves me right. Just right around Marathon Lake and Bienville National Forest. I mean, this is an ideal habitat. I mean, there's so many different things that can sustain a Bigfoot around here. Whether you talk about the thousands of ponds and lakes and everything else that has fish in abundance, and all this deer population, which I discussed about the where in episode 2. I mean, you don't have to think that hard about this creature being something that can thrive here in Mississippi. Now, one thing that I was wanting to address was I want to prove something to everyone that Mississippi, when I talked about the where, I discussed all these national forests here in Mississippi. And these national forests are not itty bitty little things. They are actually large expanse of forest, just thousands and thousands and upon thousands of acres that no one lives in. They will go into them every now and then to go hunt some deer, but you really have to struggle to get into the middle of these national forests. And that's why you have tons and tons of sightings in this area. Now, Holly Springs, I was able to dig a little bit deeper into some of these places that have sightings. Holly Springs National Forest actually has 11 sightings. Tongue has 6. Homachito has 9. But the thing here is DeSoto National Forest has 32. And when you start looking at different types of sightings and numbers like that, you start looking at like Washington and California and Texas and realize 32 really isn't that much. It's not really that impressive. You can't really justify saying, hey, let's spend a lot of time and a lot of research looking for Bigfoot in these areas because there's only been 32 sightings. But that's the thing. That's only 32 reported sightings. And the only reason DeSoto has so many more sightings than all these other places is because it lies along the coast of Mississippi, where a larger number of population exists, and whenever you have more people, you have more chances of encounters. And I know that Holly Springs, which is in North Mississippi, has a whole lot more sightings than just the 11 that's been accounted for on 2 of the popular Bigfoot reporting websites and organizations. Holly Springs actually is very wooded. It is very hilly. It actually has a lot of different cave systems up there also, and it's not as populated as down in South Mississippi. And it's kind of crazy. And you start looking at all the different counties that not exactly in these to have these national forests. I mean, you look at Clark County, which is right below Meridian. It has 7 all by itself. Harrison has 7. Forest has 7. Tippahawk County has 5. Stone has 5, which Harrison, Forest, and Stone, they're kind of in that southern Mississippi segment along the coast. And so more population, more sightings, more chances of sightings. But one thing that I want us to think about is how different Mississippi is from the north all the way down to the south. I mean, from the north you have all these hills and these mountains and these vast forests, and as you get down to central Mississippi, you're more of a flatter land. You have a little bit of hills, but it's thickly forested. And then on the south, I mean, you have these expanses of mass pine forest that extend all the way down till you get to the coast. I mean, this is just prime area that things can move in that you just won't be able to see. But there are honestly more sightings than meet the eye, and just the few hundred sightings on one database versus the few dozen on another database, it tells you that things are here. But the thing is, these sightings are so underreported. Mississippi is well known to have Bigfoot scattered throughout because of all the different people that are just, well, when they have these sightings, they don't want to tell nobody. I think everybody has come to the conclusion that everybody wants to be, they don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be looked at as the clown idiot or the town idiot or stuff like that. And I've had to experience it myself. I mean, I love talking about this subject, but I've had to put it out there and just see what I got back. It's a lot like fishing. I mean, you're going to throw your lure out from time to time, but not every time you're going to have a bite. And there's even fewer times that you're actually going to catch the fish that took that bite. But I've taught for the past 9 years, and I've worked in the industry, and this conversation is very strange to some people, but from time to time you will get those nibbles and you will get those bites and land a good story. Now, I've had a student that personally told me that whenever he was, well, this is probably about 8 years ago, that he was behind his house and there was these creatures that was just on the edge of the wood line, and they would occasionally have owls that would come by, and they would always love listening to these owls. But these creatures started mimicking these owls, and as you've heard of other different Bigfoot stories, whenever you know what an owl sounds like and you know what an owl doesn't sound like, you know when somebody's trying to mimic an owl. And so whenever they start doing the whoo-hoo, whoo-hoo, you know that something's off, the pitch is off or something other. And this is how the student described this to me. And I've had other students tell me that they've been shadowed in the woods on their way in and on their way out, and just several different stories like that. And I've actually shared a different Bigfoot story on another channel of mine. And this guy opened up to me, and he's talked about how he was in North Mississippi, and he knew of several places, several different cave systems in the Tombigbee area, and right off not far from the Tombigbee River, that is pretty sketchy. Up in those hills, he knows of one exact spot, for instance, that he found whenever he was hunting with a family member. And the cave was actually lined with hides of animal skins. And he said it stunk to high heaven. And who would make that? What animals would actually skin out other animals that they have eaten and line that cave with hides? What would do that? And they actually reported it to a game warden. And the game warden just advised them never to come back to that spot again. Why? Why would a game warden advise somebody not to ever come back to a spot that is in public property that everyone should have access to, but he advised them never to come to it? The thing is this: game wardens, hunters, and so many other people, they know that these things exist. Not all of them. I'm not naive enough to believe that all of them believe that, but there's a lot of them that do. And the thing is, here in Mississippi, these Bigfoot creatures are everywhere. And that's what I want people to understand. These creatures thrive in this state. And for the most part, they're just underreported because of fear of ridicule. But one thing I want us to understand is that there are boogers in these woods. Y'all have a good night.